Caillou is walking down the stairs in his running shoes. Ow! 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 The shoes are too small and they hurt his feet. Mummy says, Caillou, your feet have grown. Those shoes don't fit you anymore. Here, Caillou. Mummy gives him a pair of rubber boots to wear. These will do for now. Put them on and we'll walk to the shoe store right away to get you some new shoes. When it rains, Caillou loves to splash in puddles with his rubber boots, but today is sunny. Caillou wants to run, and he needs running shoes for that. Caillou isn't happy wearing his rubber boots. Caillou sees his friend Sarah running towards him. Hi, Caillou. Where are you going? Asks Sarah. To buy a new pair of shoes, answers Caillou. Fast ones like you have. After you get your new shoes, we'll have a race, says Sarah, and runs down the street. In the store, Caillou looks at all the different kinds of shoes and boots. There are fancy shoes and sneakers and work boots for feet of every size. There are black shoes and brown shoes and shoes of every colour in the rainbow. Caillou is looking at the hiking boots. They are stacked high on boxes. He pulls one out to take a look. Oh no! All the boots come tumbling down. Caillou moves away from the mess on the floor. Finally, Caillou finds the running shoes. Wow, says Caillou. These look fast. Mummy asks, what colour do you like best, Caillou? Caillou thinks hard. He can't make up his mind. The salesman says, before we decide on the colour, we should measure your feet. Caillou sits in a chair. The salesman pulls off Caillou's boot and puts Caillou's foot in the foot sizer. Let's see, says the salesman. My, your feet have grown, Caillou, says Mummy. Caillou, do you want red shoes or yellow ones? Asks Mummy. Caillou looks at all the shoes. He still can't make up his mind. The salesman points to a pair of shoes way up on a high shelf. How about those green ones? He asks. Green? Says Caillou. Yay! Caillou puts on his new running shoes to walk home. Mummy has new shoes too. Your new shoes are nice, Caillou tells Mummy. Thank you, Mummy says. So are yours. Did you measure your feet? Caillou asks. No, Caillou. My feet stopped growing a long time ago. Caillou is running in his fast new shoes. He sees Sarah and goes rushing by her. Race me, Sarah, Caillou calls. You're too fast for me, says Sarah, far behind Caillou. Race me, Sarah, race me, calls Caillou as he disappears down the street. Caillou, my imaginary friend. Caillou was playing with his friend George. Caillou really liked George. He was lots of fun and liked to do all the things Caillou liked to do. But no one else had ever seen George. George was special because he was imaginary and only Caillou knew him. Hey George, let's race, Caillou said suddenly. Mummy and Grandma watched from the kitchen window. Caillou and George were having lots of fun. Okay, let's race to the barrel. Ready, set, go. Caillou shouted and ran across the yard. Caillou ran so fast he bumped into the barrel. I won, he cheered. Suddenly, there was a crash. Caillou looked around. The flower pot that was on top of the barrel had fallen to the ground. Oops, said Caillou, looking down at the mess. Just then Rosie called to Caillou. It was lunchtime. Caillou was worried about what had just happened, but ran into the house for lunch anyway. Caillou forgot all about the broken flower pot. Mummy said George could join them for lunch. Caillou talked about how much fun he had playing with his friend. George can run really fast, but I beat him in a race. George sounds like fun, Caillou. Does he live nearby? Grandma asked. I think he lives in our basement. George is probably my best friend in the whole world, Caillou said excitedly. Caillou, we've all finished eating and you haven't even touched your food, Mummy said. Perhaps George could wait outside while you eat your lunch. Okay, Mummy, Caillou answered. Caillou got up to move George's chair away from the table so his friend could get down. Thank you, George. Caillou will be out soon, Mummy said to Caillou's imaginary friend. After lunch, Caillou was playing outside again. Daddy was outside too. He was standing by the barrel. Caillou, would you please come over here for a minute? Daddy asked. Caillou walked over to him. Do you know anything about this? Daddy asked, pointing to the broken flower pot on the ground. Caillou looked down and bit his lip. George did it, Daddy, he said. We were racing and he knocked it down. Are you sure George did this? Did you have something to do with it too? Daddy asked, in a gentle but serious voice. Caillou nodded. Yes, Daddy, he whispered. Well, the next time you play with George, you should both be more careful, Daddy said. We will, Daddy, Caillou replied. As Caillou held the dustpan, he said, You know, Daddy, George is a bit clumsy sometimes. Daddy smiled at Caillou and said, A bit like you and me sometimes, right? Caillou nodded and smiled back. Caillou watches Rosie. Caillou and Rosie are playing with Rosie's new toy. They are having lots of fun, lots of noisy fun. Every time Rosie pushes a key, the toy makes an animal sound. Moo, quack, arf, meow. Mummy calls to them. Children, you're making too much noise. Caillou and Rosie stop what they're doing. Caillou, I need to lie down, says Mummy. Can you be a good big brother and watch Rosie so she doesn't get into mischief? Yes, Mummy, Caillou replies. Mummy brings a couple of markers and 2 big pieces of paper. You and Rosie can draw pictures of the animals instead of listening to the sounds they make, she tells Caillou. I need you to play quietly so I can rest. Okay, says Caillou. Caillou wants to help Mummy. He wants to be a good big brother. Caillou hands Rosie a marker and says, We're going to draw now. Caillou starts drawing a giraffe. He works so hard on his picture that he doesn't notice that Rosie is not drawing beside him. Caillou looks around to see where Rosie went. Oh no! Rosie is drawing on the wall. Rosie, no! Shouts Caillou. Caillou grabs the marker away from Rosie. No, no, mine! Cries Rosie and tries to get it back. Caillou holds onto the marker. Rosie starts to cry. Be quiet, Caillou tells her. Do you want Mummy to get mad? Mummy hears all the noise. Caillou, Mummy says, picking up Rosie, I asked you to be a good big brother and watch Rosie, not fight with her. Rosie needs her nap. I'll be right back. Caillou is surprised. Why is Mummy angry with him? He did his best to be quiet and to keep Rosie from doing anything wrong. He doesn't want to be Rosie's big brother anymore. When Mummy comes back, Caillou is crying. Caillou and Mummy go to the kitchen and fill a bucket with soap and water. Mummy says, It isn't easy being a big brother, is it? Caillou shakes his head. Can I help? He asks. Mummy nods. That would be great, Caillou. Caillou cleans the wall with a wet cloth. He rubs hard until all the marks are gone. Good work, Caillou. Thank you, says Mummy. Rosie has finished her nap and she wants Caillou to play with her. Caillou smiles and says, OK, Rosie. Mummy gives Caillou a hug. Caillou, you are becoming such a big boy, she says, and you are such a good big brother to Rosie.